Okay. Peace, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. Today's Sunday is going to be jam packed. This is going to be a really interesting discussion, a very informative discussion. So I hope you guys will tune in for the entire video and really learn a lot of information. So today's video is the Israel-Palestine conflict from a nationalist perspective. And what we're going to be talking about is we've often got the thoughts and opinions from individual Black people, from integrationists about the Israel-Palestine conflict. But what we want to discuss is looking at this conflict from both the Black nationalist and Pan-Africanist perspective. And we're going to be diving into a lot of information. There's a lot of information you may not know about as it comes to Black thoughts and opinions about Israel. So, and of course, the situation that's going on in Gaza. So, tune in. Before I begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, whoops, sorry, echo. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you sign up to the website at baioafrikstan.org/register. Make sure to support the BAIO Liberia Legacy Foundation, specifically the Liberian Leadership Academy. We have a ethics citizenship class going on right now. We're almost to the finish line with that. Make sure you donate to that. Remember, 100% of the donations will be going to the Liberian Leadership Academy ethics citizenship class. And the more people that we have, the more people we can teach and the more we can bring this informative knowledge. So make sure you do that. The link will be in the description. All you have to do is click that link and you will be able to have access and you'll be able to donate. So without further ado, let me get into today's live stream. So obviously this situation going on in Gaza is one that cannot be avoided. It's constantly talked about in mainstream media. It's constantly talked about in independent media. It's being talked about from around the world. The situation there is very dire. And I want to give some basic fact and information about what is going on in Gaza so you are well informed and you understand the magnitude of the situation. So what has been going on in Gaza right now is a utter humanitarian crisis that is beyond horrifying to say the least. As of right now, according to the Euromed monitor, we have an estimate of 35. My apologies, everyone. My thing just went out. So I'm going to get back to what I was saying. Yeah, the situation that has been going on in Gaza, again, pardon the internet connection, has been rather dire to say the least. According to the Euro Med Monitor, 35,000 Palestinians have lost their lives, with the majority of them being women and children. We have an estimate 12,345,000 children who have died, 7,656 women, 309 health personnel, 41 civil defense personnel, and 121 journalists. That 121 journalists is the highest in a conflict since the start of the UN, and since records are really kept. There has never been this many journalists that have been killed in a conflict, and a lot of this has been deliberately done by the state of Israel. Meanwhile, 67,240 individuals have been injured, hundreds of them critically. Within a week of the International Court of Justice's ruling, the Israeli army killed 1,048 Palestinians, most of them civilians, and injured over 1,800 others and carried out 108 massacres. Just recently, we found out, of course, you guys heard about it, the Flower Massacre that happened where Hundreds of Palestinians were killed trying to get flour, trying to just get basic necessities for their families, because once again, the situation in Gaza is very, very dire. The entire population is experiencing famine. There is not a single area in Gaza that is not experiencing massive amounts of famine. So it's gotten so bad that particularly in the northern part of Gaza, in northern Gaza, near Gaza City, you have Palestinian children who are dying of malnutrition, dehydration, and starvation. You have a situation where Palestinian children are oftentimes they're literally walking skeletons. You can hear the cries and the screams, and the doctors simply do not have enough food, enough water to feed these Palestinian children. Of course, I'm just specifically talking about Palestinian children, but it's the entire population going on in Palestine. There have been hundreds of thousands of food aid trucks that have been near the Rafah border on the Egyptian side. They have not been able to come in. Israel has been screening the aid trucks that are coming in, and basically they're just delaying, they're doing bureaucratic stalls to try to prevent food from getting into the Gaza Strip. A lot of Palestinians have been resorted to eating cooked grass. They've been resort to doing animal feed. And when you hear it in the mainstream media, they're just thinking this is a famine that's just a natural occurrence. That is not true. The situation that is going on in Gaza is entirely man-made ever since Israel did basically a medieval siege on the Gaza Strip, not allowing any food, not any water into the Strip. And so that has caused untold suffering on the Palestinian population. Now, the U.S. has basically given a green light to what has been going on in the Gaza Strip and supporting Israel, basically whatever they want to do. The United States has given over 100 shipments to the Israeli government and to the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, although I call it the IOF, that has been used to be dropped on civilians, 2,000-pound bombs. We have examples of them using advanced technology that the U.S. is get from the U.S. to use on Palestinian civilians, and the Israelis have been indiscriminately bombing the Gaza Strip. They are bombing high rises. They are bombing apartment buildings. They are bombing hospitals. As we've just seen just a week ago, the Israeli government raided the Al-Shifa hospital where thousands of Palestinians were sheltering. We've had the situation where Israel has been killing academics, such as the great Rafat Alir and other academics. All universities in Gaza have been destroyed by the Israeli Defense Force. A lot of these are considered war crimes, and recently the South Africa recently filed with the ICJ, basically saying that it's possible to say that Israel is committing genocide. The ICJ also received another file from South Africa, basically saying that there needs to be an immediate ceasefire that is going on in Gaza. So the U.S., of course, once again, has been giving a green light to what's been going on. Recently, the U.S. passed a resolution, and Western media is trying to say that this is a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire, and this is not an immediate ceasefire. Russia and China vetoed it, as well as Algeria. Guyana abstained from this resolution because the fact that it doesn't really call for a ceasefire. So before this current resolution, the United States said that Rafah was a red line. You can't invade Rafah. Now, for those who do not know, Rafah has been densely packed. It was only able to hold originally 200,000 people, but now 1.4 million Palestinians are in Rafah. They are in tent houses. There is poor sanitation. It is estimated that 1 million Gazans are sick. You have outbreaks of diseases going on there because everybody has been crammed in there near the Egyptian border because their homes have been destroyed from Gaza City to Khan Yunis. It has been destroyed. And so the United States has been basically saying that you cannot go into Rafah because if you go into Rafah, it's going to magnify the humanitarian crisis significantly. Well, they've walked back that just like they've walked back everything. They've been given word salad to Netanyahu, and that's basically to appeal the base in order to bring them back. Because as people may know, over 100,000 people in the state of Michigan voted for uncommitted. You had 20% of the Democratic primary in Minnesota vote for uncommitted. In the Hawaiian caucus, you had an estimate 29% that voted uncommitted. In North Carolina, you had 12% that voted for uncommitted. And so basically, the United States was doing all of this word salad in order basically to try to convince, the Democratic base that they're doing something even though they're not. Now Biden is trying to do a port, which again is going to be controlled by Israel. Again, this is just public PR. It's not that well for the Congressional Black Caucus. I know people want to focus on what are the Black politicians doing, and I want to say they have been just as avid of supporters of what is going on with Israel. So this is coming from JSN.org, Jewish News Syndicate, and then he said, "Once a blank slate." Richie Torres is one of Israel's best fighters in Congress. He said visiting Israel in 2014 was one of the most formative and transformative experiences in the New York Democrats' life. He told JSN. Richie Torres was the same politician that spoke for the March of Israel that had a lot of people there in question, such as John Hagee. He has been one of the most vociferous supporters for Israel on Twitter. We have the situation with another man similarly from around that area, Hakeem Jeffries. Remember saying Israel now, Israel forever. So we have Hakeem Jeffries. This was the statement from the Congressional Black Caucus. This was a statement from the Congressional Black Caucus. And this is one that was given in October of 2023. October of 2023. It reads the following. October the 15th, 2023. Today, Congressional Black Caucus Chairman Stephen Horford's Virginia. Yeah. So let me get back to the one right here. Let me add this back on so that people can fully see. Let me show this one as well. The statement from the Congressional Black Caucus that came out October the 15th. So this was October the 15th. This was just 3 days after October 7th. They said that today the Congressional Black Caucus Chamber, Stephen Horsford, Nevada 4th District, and members of the Congressional Black Caucus issued the following statement regarding the unfolding humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the family of thousands of innocent civilians who have been killed since October 7th, as well as those who have been displaced and are currently living in fear in the Middle East. We also continue to stand firm behind Israel's right to self-defense against the brutal attacks by Hamas terrorists. It is imperative that the action be taken now on the worsening humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza. This conflict has left millions of people in Gaza without access to water, food, medicine, and other critical resources. We cannot lose sight of the fact that there are millions of innocent Palestinians who are not responsible for the brutal attack and atrocities of Hamas terrorists. The Congressional Black Caucus supports President Biden's call of the United Nations and government in Israel, Egypt, and surrounding Arab nations to provide humanitarian relief to those impacted in the war. Basically, once again, they're basically justifying Israel's right to do the atrocities in Gaza because they say Israel's right to self-defense. They are not taking responsibility for the Israeli government's action, Netanyahu's government, but also Israeli society at large. Let us not forget that the vast majority of Israelis do support what is going on in the Gaza Strip. They think that the Israeli Defense Force is not being is not being brutal enough. You have Israel's cabinet that includes people like Bezalel Smotrich, people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, who are settlers in the West Bank, and of course, the West Bank has not been spared either. The main focus is on Gaza, but the West Bank has been under intense attack from the IDF and Jewish settlers since October 7th. Already before October 7th, the violence against Palestinians was the most in recent times. So that gives you a perspective on Black politicians. But again, it's not just Black politicians. You have the NBA. Let me put that on the screen as well. The NBA has been one of the vociferous supporters of Israel and the IDF. Again, this was one of the great pieces from Jacobin that is basically showing that the NBA has had strong connections with the state of Israel. It has strong connections and close connections with the IDF, and that explains why a lot of players have not been so outspoken about what's been going on in Palestine, in both Gaza and the West Bank. And it's the reason why after, they made those milquetoast statements after what happened on October the 7th. So I wanted to give a background on that. I also want to start giving a background on Israel and Liberia, since we focus here on Land Infrastructure Nation, and we want to focus on our focus is on Liberia. So, for those who do not know, Liberia and Israel do have a connection, a very tenuous and tumultuous one, to say the least. So, this one was from one of Israel's own media outlets. It's Haaretz, and it reads the following. It says on here. It says weapons, cash. Weapons. Oh, didn't know that I could do that. Right. Weapons, cash, and weapons, cash. Israel bribed Liberian officials for years, cables reveal. Official documents show that Israel systematically bribed top officials of murderous dictatorship in Liberia in order to obtain their diplomatic support. I need to get that fixed. This is from Haaretz, so it says weapons, training, cash. Israel bribed Liberian officials for years, cables revealed. So basically, what this shows is that Israel, starting back in 1973, so in 1973, there was the Yom Kippur War. And the Yom Kippur War was basically between Israel and its neighboring states, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon, and those surrounding Arab countries. They went to war with Israel. This was one of a series of numerous wars. Remember, there was the Arab-Israeli War of 1948. There was the Suez Canal crisis. There was the 1967 Six-Day War. And then you have the Yom Kippur War. So it was all of these neighboring countries that were going to war with Israel, and Israel was close to losing that war. That was one of the closest points where Israel nearly used nuclear weapons. Now, for those who don't know, Israel is a nuclear armed state. They got their nuclear weapons back in the 60s. The United States government knew about it, but they did not say anything. They basically went under the strategy of ambiguity, because if the United States government officially recognized that Israel was indeed a nuclear armed state, they couldn't provide funding and arms. And of course, the United States government wanted to provide arms and funding. So after the Yom Kippur War, this was in 1973, Liberian President William Tolbert had severed diplomatic ties with the state of Israel. And so basically the state of Israel tried to bribe Liberian UN envoys, started training the military, but which included Samuel Doe, basically to remove William Tolbert in order to get Liberia to have diplomatic support. Now, Liberia did recognize Israel under William V.S. Tubman. That was the president before Tolbert who ruled the country from 1944 until 1971. So Israel starts bribing these Liberian envoys. They start bribing Liberian leaders and people in the military, and that's along with the U.S. The U.S. was also doing the same time. This is when Bacchus Matthews and the Progressive Alliance of Liberia was coming in. This is when the United States government was throwing out pieces to try to destabilize Liberia and make Liberia look like the boogeyman, make William Tolbert look like he's a brutal dictator going up against his people. Let's not also forget his brother had died in a helicopter crash when she mysteriously died and nobody know how he died. This was the same time going on where the United States President Jimmy Carter was trying to establish a military base in Liberia or let the United States government have access to Payne airfield, so basically they can carry out their anti-communist agenda in Africa. And William Tolbert had refused. So all this has been going on. All of this is going on at that time that Israel is doing this. So they're able to successfully get rid of Tolbert. Tolbert is taken out. And then they back Samuel Doe. Just like the United States, Samuel Doe was their man. As a matter of fact, Ronald Reagan referred to them as their boy. As their boy. That's what they referred to Samuel Doe, as their boy. Ronald Reagan and Israel gave Samuel Doe more funding than any country in Africa. The United States gave Liberia more aid than any other country under Samuel Doe. Samuel Doe was backing Liberia through and through. Israel was backing Samuel Doe through and through. Israel finally achieved their goal. They got their goal. They got rid of Tolbert. They got Doe, who was supportive of Israel through and through. And remember, I want people to understand, this is the same Israeli government that supported Idi Amin, as somebody put in the chat, supported apartheid, supported Rhodesia. As a matter of fact, Israel was the government that most likely helped South Africa develop its nuclear weapons as an apartheid state. Let's also not forget that. They were funding weapons to apartheid South Africa. They're the ones who got Idi Amin in office. He goes on to do brutal atrocities. This is that same country is one of Samuel Doe's biggest supporters along with the United States. And so that has had an impact on Liberia ever since then. And so I wanted to give this whole background before we talk about the Black nationalist perspective, going about it, looking at it from a Pan-Africanist perspective. You need to understand the background. You need to understand the historical context. So that's why I gave all of this background information so that people understand where the Black nationalist perspective is coming from and why a lot of Pan-Africanists, a lot of Black nationalists, if you look at the people like Kwame Ture or the Black Panther Party or Thomas Sankara, have had grave concerns with countries that support the state of Israel. And why we have to look at this in a very strategic manner. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, so that is the monologue for giving the background. Okay, you know what? We're not dealing with that. So this is just the background information about Israel, its connection to Liberia, its connection to Black politicians, and how we go about it. Obviously, the situation that's going on in Gaza is a humanitarian crisis, and we need to advocate an immediate ceasefire and a permanent end to the war. There is no reason why this war is even going on. You can't even call this a war. To call this a war would be inadequate and inappropriate. The reality of it is that 5% of Palestinians have been either killed or injured. To put that in perspective, if that would have happened in the United States, that would be 15 million Americans would have been either killed or maimed. If we were to put that in the context of Black America, that would be the equivalent of about 2 million of our people being either killed or injured. Of the 40 million Black people. And if we did 50, it would be slightly more. But I want people to understand just how bad this situation is and how our government, how the United States government has put its unconditional support behind the state of Israel, wagging their finger at Netanyahu when they are doing everything to the contrary of what they're saying. Again, giving them weapons, giving them a green light, giving them money, and the Black politicians supporting them. The Black politicians who are unconditionally behind Israel. We just saw the words of Secretary Lloyd Austin's point, saying the same thing as what the Congressional Black Caucus said. Oh, Israel has the right to self-defense, and then Hamas can just lay down their weapons. You had Linda Thomas Greenfield, who has become the black face in high place of U.S. imperialism. And all of this goes into the integration, and all that goes into the integrationist position and why it is so problematic. The Black politicians who are doing this know what's up, but they're doing it because it's in their interest. It's in their political interest. They're getting money from all these special interest groups. And because they're getting all that money from special interest groups that's paying for their reelection, they're regurgitating exactly what they want to hear. Let me also add the NAACP is no different. This is what happens when you are in this system. Even though the majority of Black Americans, everyday Black Americans, support a ceasefire and an end to the war, Black politicians have shown everything but that. I mean, also American politicians as well, but specifically, Black politicians have shown that they do not care about what the opinions of what Black people have said about the situation in Gaza and how they are concerned about the plight of Palestinians. And Palestinians have a right to self-determination, a right to statehood, a right of return. So we need to ask ourselves, do we want to be having a government that is giving a green light to what people around the world have called one of the gravest crises of the 21st century, calling a genocide? You have countries like Bolivia, South Africa, Brazil that have severed diplomatic ties with the state of Israel. A situation where Black servicemen are put in harm's way because the U.S. government wants to give its unconditional support to the state of Israel that is exacerbating tensions in the region, angering the Arab populations all throughout the Middle East, from Syria to Lebanon to Yemen to Egypt to Bahrain to Iraq. We want to be a part of this system, and in return, we are putting ourselves in situations we don't need to be in situations in which the majority of Black Americans do not agree with. The majority of Black Americans want to see Palestine free, self-determined, with their own right of return. The majority of Black Americans do not support what Israel is doing at all. A lot of Black people, especially during the uncommitted vote in Detroit, voted for uncommitted. And yet our Black politicians are showing time and time and time again, they don't care. You have Cori Bush actually doing what the people say. And based on the polls that I've read, she's losing her election by 22 points. And she's actually representing the constituencies of what Black people support. Black political support for Israel is entirely based on integrationist, assimilationist points of view. It is the I want to be included into the American system. I want to be incorporated into the American ruling class and government. Those Black politicians have been there for 20, 30 years. Or again, like I said, they've received huge money from special interest groups, the likes of your Jim Clyburns, the likes of your Chantel Browns, your Richard Torreses, your Hakeem Jeffries. These are the people you get, or even people as thing as Barbara Lee. She can't even get it. She's going the same route as Cori Bush. So this is why we advocate for what we do. This is why we're pushing to do what we're doing. We want our foreign policy to represent what the vast majority of what Black Americans think. We want to be in a situation where we can do something, because a lot of Black Americans are feeling helpless. A lot of Black Americans are feeling frustrated about Biden's unwillingness to do any action, saying that he will not take action, but yet for some reason want us to go out and vote for them in November, and then have the audacity to say, if you don't vote for us, you get what you get with Trump. They are showing you right there, they are not looking out for your interest. They're looking out for their interest and their special interest groups. So, and Black Republicans are no different from Black Democrats. I know I've been hammering on the Congressional Black Caucus and Black Democrats. Black Republicans are no different. They both adhere to the party line and the party system. And both the party line and party systems are corporate, imperialist, expansionist, unconditional support for the state of Israel. No even ounce of sympathy and iota of care for the Palestinians. I'm going to get my comments, and I'm going to let another one of my great brothers come in. So we can now open this up for discussion and opinion, but I wanted to get that out there so people have a clear background of the history of Liberia and the state of Israel, what's going on in Gaza, the humanitarian crisis, what's going on in the West Bank as well, United States' response, Congressional Black Caucus response, the NBA's response, and why there's a need for people like us and having that representative government and having that country that represents the majority of Black Americans and make the decisions that Black Americans want to do. And we would have the capacity to do it and the capacity to influence, where we cannot do right now, where you have Black people who are protesting in the streets, Black people boycotting, and yet the Biden administration is continuing to say, no, we're not going to do that, spitting in the faces of their voters, showing contempt for their voters, and then saying they deserve to get what they get with Donald Trump. Salute to the nation of Liberia. Liberia and the rest of Black Africa must establish self-preservation and independence from any group that insists on subjugating and exploiting Black Africa. I agree. Michael McGarry said, at least as nationalists, we could actually take action to intercede in the conflict. What can integrationists in America do? They can't do anything. Like you said, Cori Bush is going to get the Cynthia McKinney treatment. Exactly. Michael McGarry said, Black politicians are disconnected from Black people. They easily lie and say they've never heard of the BAIO. That is absolutely facts. Great point right here. Israel wouldn't be able to do it without the U.S. There have been Israeli generals that have came out and said that if the United States stopped giving money to Israel, stop giving them weapons, they could not continue the war. You could, in this situation right now, save tens of thousands of lives, and yet the Biden administration utterly refuses to do it. And the Black politicians are constantly supporting him, and telling us, go to the polls and go vote for this man. Completely gaslighting and manipulating us based on what our own eyes and based on their own words. That's coming from the Israeli government and the IDF. And the videos that they recording of themselves doing the deeds that they're doing. You can work out the bad guys based on if Israel supports them. Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Jabari, Zim analyst Rutinda Ratin. I don't want to say this right. Zim analyst Rutinda Matanya Yarare recently said that the U.S. is positioning itself to sanction South Africa because South Africa has taken Israel to court over the Gaza atrocities and genocide. You know what my response is? South Africa needs to cut ties with the United States. The level of giving cover to the state of Israel for their crimes is disgusting. And my opinions to my fellow South African brothers and sisters, cut ties with the United States. You need to show the United States you're not playing, that you will not tolerate their behavior. And you got Black generals like General Langley saying this. Who you got Black Langley, oh, South Africa and them are a threat. And you had Gregory Meeks saying that, we need to, Russia and all these other countries need to be dealt with in Africa. All I would say for South Africa is they need to just say to the United States, okay, cool, we're done with you. We see how you're not about international order. You're not about fairness, which we all know the international world order is fake. You're not about it. Thank you for taking the mask off. I did not know this. I was not aware that there were numerous admin from land grant HBU signed STEM MOUs with Israel. I did not know that. Thank you for telling me that, Brother Baruti. Thank you. He said, what's funny is Israel has a track record of attacking its own allies, even the U.S. Israel's, yep. Yeah, you're right. That we even have examples of actual articles written where they were talking about those Israeli groups and calling them terrorists. Yes, Israeli terrorist groups. Talking about threatening war with Britain. Now I know a lot of people are going to say, "Well, why should we, as Black nationalists, care about the situation in Gaza?" And the reason why I say we should care about it is because look at their response in Gaza and look at their response in Haiti. Look at what's going on in Haiti. The United States is trying to do the exact similar thing in Gaza to Haiti. Haiti's in a state of absolute chaos. Well, and specifically around Port-au-Prince, not so much in the rural areas, based on what other Haitians have reported on the ground. But they're fed up with the Haitian government that and the Haitian elite that have been backed by the U.S. The U.S. is basically trying to put in the government that they want that is against the Haitian people. And we see the situation that's going on in Gaza. They don't want the solution that the Palestinians and the Gazans want. They want to put what they want and what the Israelis want, which is to expel the Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip into Egypt, into some neighboring Arab countries, and then let Gaza be permanently settled by Jewish settlers. And and the point of that is we are right now not in a position to do anything because we are integrationists in America. Because we are in America, because we don't control the political system, because we don't control any of the major means production, we don't control the industrial base or supply chain, we are helpless. We can protest all we want to, but if the U.S. government right now says that money's going, it's going. If they say we're shipping this money out, it's going. Are these weapons out, it's going. If they say we're going to vote against the ceasefire in the UN, we're helpless to do anything. We are helpless because we are not the controls of this country. We're not. This is not an African American Congress. This is not an African American House of Representatives. This isn't an African American White House. We're not controlling any of that. And so as of right now, all we can do is protest. All we can do is march. Because we can't get on, we can't make trips. We're limited. And we, as those of us who are who are of Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism, believe in self-determination. We believe in the right to govern ourselves. And so we would want to help support the people who want to achieve their own self-determination in Gaza and in the West Bank, but also that self-determination and independence be extended to countries throughout in the Middle East and Africa. Because guess what? We know that Israel has connections in the Congo. And the Congo has a right to be free. It has a right to be self-determined. It has a right to do what they want to do. So I've spilled my monologue. Without further ado, I will let the guests come in. Y'all can come in. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Who else is with? It's Mike.
Yep.
Okay, Shabar, I wanted to ask you because you kind of you jumped the gun a little bit because we weren't really taking a position. That's what the initial start
Oh
was.
no, that's
But
my
since
position.
right, but um, what can you say about the Can you give the Israeli perspective just for fairness?
Ooh.
Because
I
if
can.
we're coming out like we're pro Palestine. So I thought it was going to be a little bit more, you know what I'm
I
saying, balanced before we took a position.
I can, if you want me
Okay,
to.
go ahead, go for it.
It's largely imperial because it boils down to like social well economic factors because Egypt controls the Suez Canal and the West doesn't control the U.S. The Suez Canal because it's nationalized by the Egyptian government. What I'm hearing is that they want to build some kind of corridor through the Palestinian land to do shipping to the West. Because the issue that's happening right now with this whole Palestine thing, the Houthis are attacking a lot of Western vessels, right? Like the Chinese, the Russians, they're allowed to do business as much as they want. But the issue is that because the U.S. is doing their thing and supporting Israel, like the Houthis are letting it go through the Red Sea. So they're trying to do some kind of mitigation to allow that shit to happen at the expense of Palestinians. That's the brief economic summary of it, as much as I could say.
Do you know what they're because they always bring up Hamas as a
Yeah, but
counter to the stuff that people talk. I'm
if
just trying to get both sides. I don't want
right,
to be too
I get you.
one-sided.
I got you because the thing is, like with them, is that if you're attacking my country and there's like a resistance movement, that resistance movement is legitimate. Period. If we're in Liberia right now and we're trying to and there's actively taking away our sovereignty, right? And we form a resistance movement, that would be like almost like we call it whatever organization we want to call it. That's legitimate because you're taking away our sovereignty and we're fighting for the country. Like, and what they're trying to do is trying to paint Hamas as this is like a terrorist group, when in reality is the exact opposite, right?
What do you guys know about? Was it October 7th?
Right. So that's them doing a counterattack in October 7th. So
And
when
what
that
happened on
occurred,
that? What happened on that date? For just so everybody can know.
So
well, they've been warned about that stuff that happening, and they let it take place as an excuse for them to finish off what they're doing in Gaza. Like they've been training like it's an open air prison, right? They've been running drills like that for months on end. They just ignored it. As soon as the attack happened, they took some hostages, right? I'm summarizing because there's more experts who are better than me at this. They took some hostages just so they can have like some kind of leverage to negotiate and to stop the settlements.
Mm-hmm.
Israel, in response, decided to like just open fire on everyone. The hostages, the Israeli hostages, Palestinians, of course, Syrians. They've been doing that for years already. So just as an excuse to say that Hamas is the one who killed the hostages. There's like numerous reports of like rapes happening, torture, when it really is, it's the Israelis doing it to the Palestinians.
Can you let everybody know what happened on that day? Because I don't think everybody is familiar as you guys are.
You can go, Jabari.
Yeah, so basically what happened on October 7th was basically this was the last attempt for Palestinians who felt they were completely forgotten. This had been planned for years. They knew it was coming. Egypt's president Al-Sisi basically warned that this is going to happen. So basically on October 7th, they launched, they launched an attack into southern Israel. They also launched a couple thousand rockets. And of course you had the situation at the concert. As a result, you had 1,200 Israelis that were killed, and then you had hundreds of them taken hostage. So as a result, that's what led to Israel saying we're going to respond, and then they started responding by then doing their siege, doing their blockade, and then of course doing their ground invasion into Gaza. So that's what happened on October 7th, and what subsequently happened afterwards.
How many people died?
1,200.
1,200 Israelis?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was primarily in around, again, neighboring the Gaza Strip in the southern kibbutz.
Mind you, these casualties were caused by the Israeli defense forces.
Yes, some of them were a result of friendly fire. Yes.
So from Israel's perspective, what they're doing now is like a counterattack?
Counterattack and a way to save face for what they've done.
This is save. This is save face. Well, I would say this is save and face for the Netanyahu government. Netanyahu wants to basically.
Jabari. We just gave a full thing for Palestine. I'm just trying to give equal footing. I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from, and then we can go.
Netanyahu is too. Well, Netanyahu has made it clear what he wants, though.
Okay.
Like, one is he's saying, "Oh, we'll have elections after the war." So, but if he has elections after the war, he's going to lose because Netanyahu is extremely unpopular in the state of Israel. So,
on top of that, just to add like domestic context to what Israel is going through, Netanyahu's facing like corruption charges, and the only reason he's not in jail at the present moment is because he's in the presidency, so he has like immunity, right? So that's why like some U.S. politicians are asking for his resignation, and he's trying to. It's him trying to save face. It's a number of factors. Him trying to save face, him trying to avoid jail, and him trying to carry out whatever foreign policy that Israel had for the Palestinians for decades. Mind you, though, the Israeli populace doesn't give a fuck. They still want the settlements either way. They just want to get rid of Netanyahu. If there's somebody else that comes in, they'll still continue the settlements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like majority, like almost like 80, 90% consensus within like the Israeli populace.
Yeah, I'm about to say most Israelis just oppose Netanyahu. They don't oppose the war.
Okay. So I think we've given enough context for now. It's like 53 minutes. I think we have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I just want to give some background on why we're even having this live stream is because of a conversation me and Jabari had. And I had called him and I asked him specifically about this Israel-Palestine conflict, because it's like you can't escape it. It's just you go on your timeline, you're going to see something revolving around it. And what I said was that I noticed that there's two forms of thought on this. Well, maybe not two, it might be three. But the most at both extremes are, you have a lot of individual Black folks who's really like heart is bleeding for the Palestinians. And so this is like a human rights, issue for them, and they want to be on the side of the Palestinians. That's on one side. On the other side, you have black folks who don't give a damn about what's going on in Israel, Palestine. Say, what the hell does this have to do with us? So what I was saying is, I think that instead of looking at it from those, and both of those sides are really like individualist perspectives on it. What I thought was, well, there is a middle ground, and I think the middle ground is the Black nationalist or the nationalist Pan-Africanist perspective. And that is, what do we get out of it? By getting involved, by involving ourselves in the discussion, what are we, as our nation, Liberia, getting out of it? It's, that's the way that me personally, that's the way that I look at it. It's not about, oh, this is the right thing to do. And this is just me. I'm speaking for myself. I don't give a shit about that. What is black folks, let's say that in a perfect world, we are focusing on Liberia, we have our Liberian government, and we're doing our international policy. What do we get out of backing either Israel or Palestine? What are the pros and cons? Who's the ally of Israel? United States, right?
Yep. United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, Germany.
Okay. Who's the ally on the Palestine side?
So you have Iran, you have Ireland, you have some say Spain, you have Bolivia, you have South Africa, you have
China,
Yemen, you have China,
Russia,
Syria, Russia.
Most of the world.
Russia's iffy.
As he said, most of the world. Yeah, most of the global south.
You said Russia is iffy?
Yeah, because you got to look at the history too. There were a lot of Soviet Jews that immigrated to Israel. So that's why you don't hear Russia being too, antsy about. Yeah, it's true because
who did shake Netanyahu's hand and just went right past him. So
that could be for like show, but behind the scenes you never know.
Yeah, true. You never know. Yeah,
okay,
I get
so
it.
then that's something that has to be considered. Whose side do we want to be on?
My thing is this. I'm gonna add like the Haitian perspective on this. Most our gripes are with like these Levantine elites who are fucking up Haiti. This is me speaking for Haiti for the moment. And the top guy who's like in charge of everything and like funding these gangs, right, causing like most of my family to like leave Haiti and go to the United States they have Levantine origins. So in that specific area, and particularly, they've always been like Lebanese Christians, Palestinian Christians, and Israeli, like Jewish, right? So whenever I'll say this, I'm being nuanced here, but whenever they come into like these black spaces, they forget the blood feud. They forget the blood feud and form like Voltron to put their foot on our necks collectively. So I want to put that in in cyberspace and just tell you.
So what side does that put you on? Or put us on, I should say. Let's focus on Liberia.
Mm-hmm. I would say it would have to be like a pragmatic. It would have to be a pragmatic disapproval of the genocide happening, right? You would have to be like almost like a politician and try to, consider both sides of the equation. You want to put all your eggs in one basket.
I know that, but I'm asking you from your perspective. Let's say you're the president of Liberia, and you're being, I won't say pressured, but you're being asked, whose side do you fall on? Whose your
my
ally?
side? My side.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
But if you can get what I'm saying is, if you're going to go on either side, what do you, as the Liberian president, what do you get out of it? What are you trying to achieve for your country?
I'll give Oh, sorry. I'll let him go.
I would say it fits to our social, like Liberian social economic interests. If they, I don't want to be paid off to carry out a genocide. There's other ways to get benefits, but if a whole world is looking at you and actively saying that you're committing genocide, I'm not going to back you up.
Okay,
right?
so you're not going to be on Israel's side. You're going to be on the
Yeah.
Palestinian side.
In terms of what's happening I'll be calling for a ceasefire immediately.
Okay, but what will you get by you calling on a ceasefire? What are you getting out of it?
I would say political capital internationally.
I need a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, from my perspective, if the Palestinians want us to side with them and be openly vocal against Israel, what are we as our nation getting out of it? What are you going to do for us?
I think, and this is why
that would be something we have to ask their representatives.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with their representatives. It has to do with us. What do we want? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
What do we want as a nation for our participation in a conflict that really has nothing to do with us? Because it can't be some moral shit like, oh, this is wrong. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just being honest.
Hollop, I think you got to really analyze it, the geopolitics of the situation. We don't even have to ask if. We can look at what happened when Liberia one time voted against a ceasefire that 190 countries voted for. Liberia ended getting up ridicule, and then guess what? George Weah had to forcefully realize, oh, this makes us look bad. We're gonna vote for this ceasefire, and we are condemning, although they didn't actively call, but basically say that these hostilities need to end. You also have to read the global opinion and look at what the West has done because it's supporting Israel. It's lost its credibility. It's lost its credibility. People are no longer taking the West serious. Well, the West has not been serious for decades, but this has broken the camel's back.
On top of that, right? You don't want to, Black people, for whatever reason, have some kind of, because of the whole slavery thing, right? We have certain capital to leverage, and they look to us to support them, right? Because the triangle slave trade and all that. We're obvious victims. So I would say, if you take away people's goodwill, right, and eventually what's going to happen, we're already at the bottom of the barrel anyway. I mean, we're trying to show decency to these people, despite the fact that it doesn't benefit us. Who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as friendly as I can be.
Remember, this is a hypothetical, so don't
Right.
feel like I'm nailing you down. But what I'm saying is, what I'm hearing from you guys is optics.
Right.
That's all I'm hearing is optics. What I'm saying is, what do we want for our nation? How can our nation benefit by us being involved, even optically? Are we just asking for nothing? We just want to do it so we can don't want to be ridiculed by the world for not being down. That's
I would say okay. If we want to leverage that against them, whatever we decide on the international stage with UN, whatever, we want them backing us without question. How about that?
All right, thank you. That's in the ballpark of what I'm talking about.
Right.
It comes from
they have to be. I don't want to sound like gruesome, but in a sense, they have to be on our left and on our right. If we're helping them stop a genocide against them, it should be expected.
May I say
so?
Something?
Is that Joe?
Yeah. I want to say that from my perspective, sometimes I'm not even looking for, in a situation like this, what can the Palestinians give us? Sometimes for me, it's about like in this situation, their enemies are Israel, and I look at it primarily as the United States, because Israel wouldn't be able to do nothing without them. And I'm just thinking, like I've seen comments before where people are talking about how the Palestinians are racist and whatnot. I'm not taking a position of being with Palestine or with Israel or the U.S. or whatever. My thing is, like, I look at it like if you're in a fight, like a boxing match with someone, and we know who that is. It ain't Palestinians. Our problem is racists with power. So that's been places like the U.S., places like Israel that supported apartheid in South Africa right up until it ended. So if you're in a boxing match with someone and all of a sudden they come down with a tummy ache, you're not supposed to stop fighting because you're like, man, I'm not gonna help that tummy ache out. I don't like tummy aches. Tummy aches ain't never did nothing for me or whatever. To me, that's kind of silly. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of that little test I ran like 15 years ago online where I talked about if aliens came and attacked the earth right now but was killing nothing but white people, what would you do? Would you just stand by and watch? Would you help whites? Would you help the aliens? And most black folks in that test said that they would help whites to defeat the aliens. And I said, maybe y'all don't understand. I took it back to the middle of slavery. Same scenario, same outcome. They would help whites. Yeah, I mean, right now, Israel and the U.S. are destroying themselves when it comes to moral authority all over the world. So I feel like that's definitely beneficial to us to point out these crimes that they're committing, because that's exactly what it is. This isn't just quote unquote war. They're committing crimes. They're committing mass murders. And I don't feel like I should let an opportunity like that go by to get them to allow them to try to spin it as something good that they're doing and whatnot. I want to help destroy them along with themselves in the media. So,
Joe, I would just like to add this briefly. Even if hypothetically you didn't care about the situation that was going on in Gaza right now, let's say that was your stance and that was your opinion. The reason why I brought up specifically that Israel and Liberia point about how the Israeli government bribed Liberian officials, helped aided in toppling William Tolbert, in installing Samuel Doe, and giving this man money to brutalize our people that led to the Civil War that killed 250,000 people and exiled some 500,000 people. I can't rock with somebody who has not apologized, admitted to the role that they did in destroying our country. They had a role in destroying our country, in getting rid of Tolbert when he severed ties with Israel in 1973. And that cannot be ignored. So even if you don't care about what was going on in Israel and Palestine, just think about what Israel did to our own country that we're still reeling from because they backed a dictator who almost committed genocide against the Mono and Don people in Nimba.
I want to say something before, anybody else is brought in. I just want to clarify my position is that I'm looking at it strictly from a pragmatic state. I'm not trying to get involved in the minutia of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. I'm quite sure Israel feels they're in the right doing what they're doing. Palestinians feel that they're in the right. I don't care. What I'm saying is, if we have our independent nation of Liberia, what are we getting out of it by coming down on either side strongly? Because you can come out like if the entire world is saying this is wrong, I understand what you guys are saying. You don't want to go against that. I totally get that. but you don't have to go 10 toes deep either. There is you know what I'm saying? It's not like it's all in. You have to go all in and back these people completely with getting absolutely nothing in return. That doesn't
I
make
get
sense.
you. I get you on that one, right? And I agree with you. But considering their history, I would slightly be in favor of the Palestinians because I know what because you get me right, because if they're not busy with like the Palestinians, what's going on in Ukraine right now, and they're like going to China, they'll be fucking with us too. So that's why I feel we have to like kind of give like at least tacit support for them for the current
and
moment.
let's keep it real. Like, is either one historically really doing anything for us?
No.
So that's why I'm saying it's like I'm not picking sides. I'm really not. What I'm wondering is, okay, we're gonna be on this side. What are we on that side for? And it can't just be some moralistic bullshit, because a lot of shit happens to us that countries morally don't give a fuck about. You feel me?
I get you.
They're not going to take our back. Oh, this is the right thing to do. Nobody does that. People get involved because they're getting something out of being involved. And that's my point. We need to stop looking at it as individuals and looking at it emotionally and look at it strategically and pragmatically. That's my whole point of how we should view this as nationalists. I think some people want to get in so we can have some.
Yeah. All right. We can let them in.
I'm basically maintaining my same stance before October the 7th. Because like Israel, there's a story some years back.
I am from Israel, if I didn't say so.
Remember, hey, be quiet, I'm talking, man. But anyway, there's a story some years back. You remember the Ethiopians that they were secretly airlifting into Israel during the 80s.
Right. Ethiopian Jews, you mean?
Hey, be quiet, nigga.
Okay. So
call my mama, nigga, asshole.
Hey, kick him off, Jabari, kick him off.
Right.
We ain't trying to hear his opinion.
That's how we do
it. I cannot talk.
No, you can't talk, nigga. Fuck you. Fuck you. Kick him off. Nah, he ain't coming in.
Because he know what
Bitch ass
I'm about
nigga.
to say. He know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
A few years ago, a story came out where the Israelis had been given the Ethiopians there, which they say are Jews. They've been giving them injections, telling them that it was for flu, that they were flu injections. Turned out that it was injections that made them sterile. Since they've been there, their population has gone down by half.
So they're doing Nazi biological biological terrorism, right? Okay.
Yeah. They wiped out their population by half.
That's why I'll say this. I forgot to mention this, so thank you for bringing that up. That's why I advocate for like a partial neutrality in favor of the Palestinians.
Skylar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
How you doing, bro?
Pretty good. I wanted to jump in this. I've been around for a long time. I'm like a millennial. I've been seeing this Israel-Palestine conflict go around for a long time. And the more I get older, I realize it's really, they're just two groups of Caucasians fighting each other.
Yeah.
Because one, the Arab, they colonized Africa and they enslaved Africans too. Like and they don't really question that. They'll say that the Jews are colonizing Palestine, but are they going to turn around and say, hey, we need to decolonize North Africa, we need to give Egypt back to Africans? Are they going to say that after we help them get rid of the Jews in Palestine? Are the Arab going to pay reparations for the Arab slave trade once we help them with Israel? No, not really. So that's why I don't really jump into that. And with Egypt, a lot of this is Arab, really Arab. This is really the Arab versus Jews. There's a guy named Yusuf. There's this Egyptian comedian named Yusuf. He's like a blue-eyed Arab, white blue-eyed. I don't know if you've seen him. We're talking lately. He was he's like very pro Palestine, like calling the Israel like genocides and all that stuff. But a couple of months back, he was criticizing wasn't it Kevin Hart for saying he's an Afrocentric, for saying that the original Egyptians were black. So yeah, that's why these people are colonizers, either or. Like everything they accuse the Israel doing to them is they'll do to us, and they currently doing to us. Like yeah, go look up that Yusuf guy. He's like a Egyptian. He's white, like he has blue eyes and shit. Like, and to this, he's like whining about Palestine now, but back a couple months ago, he wanted to kick out Kevin Hart, and a lot of Egyptians feel that way too. They want to kick out all these quote unquote Afrocentric characters, Afrocentric belief, saying like the original Egyptians were black. It's like saying like there were no Native Americans, like here in America or in South Africa, like the empty landmass. There were no black people here prior to us showing up. It's kind of the same thing with them in Arab. So that's why they're both the same thing. I don't want to jump into that. You're right. It has to be a transactional thing with solipsism. Like it has to be a transactional. Like what are we getting out of if we like come out on either side? It can't be this moralistic thing where they're getting defeated, they're losers. Well, every time we help someone out losing, they turn around and like once they get their power, they backstab us. They don't want nothing to do with us. Like I feel like black people always want to jump in on the losing team because we see themselves on the losing team. We see ourselves as losers, and then you go help the other losers. And when the losers get in their position, they focus on winning. See, once the loser focus on winning, they focus on winning. They don't focus on being a loser. And I don't think black people understand that. So yeah.
I agree with that. That's why I say for me, it's just pragmatic. It's like if neither side is really your friend, then if you're going to get involved in a situation other than just on a passive level, like if you have the rest of the nations in the world are backing a certain group and there actually is atrocities and war crimes being committed, you don't want to be not on that side. So I get that from an optic state of, point of view. But at the same token, it's like these people aren't our friends. They don't have our best interests at heart. Just naturally, people have to be basically forced into backing you. You know what I mean? So if they can get something out of it by our participation, by being on their side, then yeah, they'll say, "Hey, okay, yeah, I'll put in a positive word for you in terms of reparations, or I'll put a proper positive word for you in terms of just positive media coverage and stuff like that, or backing your country and whatever its agenda is. I'll back you on that. At least that's something. It's not just, let's do this because it's the right thing to do. I personally don't give a fuck about that because nobody cares about the right thing to do when it comes to us.
Yeah, and another thing, you guys seen Candace? Yeah, you guys seen Candace Owens got fired, right, from the Daily Wire? Yeah. That Mark Lamont Hill is like the same thing. Mark Lamont Hill, like he got fired from CNN, but then he went to go work for Al Jazeera, and now he's put on the case for Palestine. He's saying all these good things about Palestine, all this stuff. But if he do the same thing Candace Owens does, which is to criticize Arabs, like the way Candace Owens criticized Jews, the Arabs will fire him just like Candace Owens. So like I see them as the same, like Palestine, Israel, Mark Lamont Hill, Candace Owens, they're the same. Like the moment you don't care for them, you criticize them, then they fire you, they get rid of you. So that's why I'm not letting this whole like we got to go because they're not really for us. Like
don't get me started on Candace.
The problem is the reason why, and I'm going on the position that I'm thinking of. The reason why is because ultimately, where do you want Liberia's position to stand in the world? If you want Liberia to be a powerhouse, you're going to have to be involved or have some sort of stake into it. All the major countries, China, Japan, Russia, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria, have all taken some sort of position on this because they are world powers and they have influence. If you want to be a country that ain't got no influence, ain't got no leadership position, then you don't have to be
Jabari, nobody's suggesting that. I agree with you. I agree with you. What all I'm saying is,
when we got to dictate it, then at that point,
it
we're in
can't
the
not
driver's
just
seat.
be just that is the reason for me. Like,
Right, they're
yeah,
trying to shape the world order. They're trying to
Can I
shape the world order.
can I say,
yes.
guys? Can I say?
Hold
Sorry.
on 1 second. Optically, yes, I agree with you. We should be on that side. But what I'm trying to get people to understand is the reason for doing things is so you get something out of it. It's not just because it's the right thing to do or because everybody else is doing it. That's my point.
I was gonna
Right.
say that, yeah.
So what the simple question would be, what is your objectives in the Middle East? What's your objectives? Like, what do you want accomplished or what moves you want made?
That's the only thing I'm saying. We have to think from that perspective. It can't just be, oh yeah, this is so wrong what's happening to these people. Let's do no.
Yeah, support can't be free.
Out of it.
Yes, support can't be free.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not saying, keep in mind, I hope nobody's confused. I'm not saying
No, I'm not.
take a stand. Because I agree with Jabari. But what I'm saying is it's got to be more than that. You have to look and see what can you get that's advantageous to our country, to our nation.
Yeah, I would say, like, if we're going to be pro-Palestine, I would say the Arab League has to pay reparations for the Arab slave trade, and North Africa has to be given back to Africans. If that's not happening, then I don't see why are we taking a position in this when if it's like that's the African position pretty much is us getting reparations from Arabs and getting North African back from Arabs. That's like to me an African-centered foreign policy towards the Middle East. You guys can think differently, and that's fine. But that's my personal foreign policy with regard to Arabs.
I got no problem with that. I'm not saying whether it's strategically feasible, but I understand the mindset behind you asking for that, and that's the thing that's important to me.
And nobody's talking about that. Like Mark Lamont Hill and all these other black people, they're not talking like that. That's why I don't trust them niggas pretty much.
A clown anyway. And also, let me just say this briefly about Candace Owens. Candace Owens was looking for a way out long before this whole situation came up. So people are trying to act like she's some martyr at the
grifter.
She's a grifter. She's always been a grifter.
She's Dave Rubin, but in reverse.
And I just want to and I just want to say that's the point when people ask what are my position on these issues, I say how has that country treated Liberia in the past? That's ultimately how I see it. I'm like, y'all destroyed my country. I can't rock with you. Sorry, I can't. You destroyed my country.
You know how I see it, Jabari? I would rather side with China and Russia than with the United States.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them as my ally than the United States.
Oh, yeah.
So we already know what side we fall on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the same country that wanted to launch a military ground invasion of our country because they didn't, because they wanted more money from our land in central Liberia. So they wanted to send a Navy ship to occupy our country and protect Firestone's interests.
And I'm quite sure that Putin would love the Liberian president to do a photo op with him.
Oh, yes.
He would love that. And you don't think that Putin would say, hey, what's up with these reparations for Liberia? How come you're giving all these reparations to all these other nations, specifically Israel, but not hooking up Liberia? Isn't that your responsibility? You had nothing to do with the Holocaust. I can see Putin doing that. I can see China siding. They can use some good press. I'm saying we have to start thinking from the perspective of what do we get out of it? And that should supersede. That should supersede this do the right thing shit because we ain't Spike Lee.
The first thing should be, what is our agenda? That's the first thing. What is your agenda? What is your end game in everything that you do? Because ultimately, that's going to influence your decision making. You got to have an end game. If your end game is, listen, I want to see Western influence weakened in this area so we can move in. Then I need y'all to do this. Now
yeah, like these black Democrats, they're starting to talk about that, how they're becoming more anti-Russia and anti-China now. You kind of see this shit happen with these black Democrats coming up. You can just tell they're being paid off by their Democrat handlers. The most Africans support Russia. Most Africans support China. It's just these black Democrats, Shields, they're completely bought off. They're not even in tune with the majority of Africa.
I said it earlier in the live. I said these black Democrats and black Republicans are getting the same money for the special interest groups. They doing exactly what they supposed to do to get reelected, and they talking points like no other. I mean, Russia trying to interfere in the country, China trying to take over all of Africa, even though most of the debt comes from Western countries and the United States. Oh, well, Israel has an absolute right to defend themselves, even though they're just riling up the body count in Gaza. They're they're spewing the same U.S. government talking points because that's who they are, and I tell that's who they are.
Yeah. Like John James, that black Republican John James, he's going after South Africa, and that black lady at the UN, I forgot her name, the black lady at the UN. Yeah, she's totally Russia. So if she told Africa, if you work with Russia, we'll sanction you. She said something like that towards Africans. Yeah.
All right. So can I get a grounded take on this? Since this is the Black African Infrastructure, emphasis on infrastructure organization. So when we look at the countries who are allied, I want to add to what you said, Hala, in terms of allying with Russia and China, right? If you look at the countries who are allied with those two countries, they get infrastructure built in almost quickly with not some fucked up 20-year deal where you gotta do what do you call it, structural readjustments, where you gotta pay off interest and and sabotage your country's infrastructure. You're actually building up infrastructure to conduct trade with those two countries. Russia is helping you build your military. China is helping you build up critical infrastructure. You look at fucking Niger. You look at fucking Burkina Faso, right? You look at those triad Sahelian countries. They seem to be building up very, very, very quickly within months, right? You compare that to other countries that are allied with the West. Dare I say Haiti? Look what position they're in right now, right? So if you're trying to build up infrastructure within an African country, I think the best people you need to talk to is those two countries in Eurasia.
Get no argument from me.
And that's why I'm currently saying we need a partial neutrality in favor of the Palestinians. Not gung ho, but partial, because we know the history of those people that we're dealing with.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not in favor. Like I said, I'm not in favor of we should send boots on the ground. We should be on the ground, ready to fist fight to the very end. I'm not saying that, but other ways that can influence it, but not to be economic, but not be diplomatic. But
to give to give an example of what you just said, Jabari, the way China did it is that they didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to ship weapons to Hamas." They explicitly said Hamas has a right to fight for self-determination. Yeah. Something like that within the UN. That's what that foreign secretary from China stated.
Yep.
So that should be our position.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just a neutral look. Palestine has the right to defend itself, and if they want to go to war, let them go to war. They have a right to defend themselves. That's pretty my position on it.
But I think that position also benefits people like us, because the Palestinians are the one that are in the position of being the colonized between them and Israel. And the thing that the U.S. and Israel always try to push on them is the same thing that they've been pushing on black folks for so long, is that the only legitimate way to fight against your oppression is by peacefully protesting and marching and stuff like that. So you have this Chinese guy that's saying no, they actually have a right to physically fight back with guns, with whatever, with bombs. They actually have that right. That's a good position to me to back for us.
Yeah,
for us.
And I'm pretty sure that guy had a conversation with all parties involved before they even issued that statement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. It's we need to be strategic and pragmatic and not emotional. So I'm quite sure we already know where we're gonna fall. You know, we know what side we're gonna
Yeah,
fall on.
we're just articulating.
But at the same token, we just can't let people know that we just gonna, take your back for nothing.
Mhm.
I have a problem with that.
There's nothing wrong with support. I'm just not gonna go, like I said, I'm not gonna dive like we going like it's gonna be Armageddon type stuff. I'm not doing that now.
Yeah. You have a right to self-determination. And guess who else has a right to self-determination?
Yeah, and Jabari, you actually mentioned it a while back. Obama came down and say he's a Zionist, and that means he's believed Jews have a right to self-determination. But he never came out and said I'm a black nationalist, like black people have a right to self-determination. Like all your
Because
black.
again, I've said it once and I'll say it again. This is why I said with the nationalist position, why we take the position that we do, is because the integrationists, they take the American stance, they take the American toe line, what the ruling class wants. That's what they do. Oh, they have an unconditional right to defend themselves against these terrorists. Okay, well, what about?
So do we? What about us? What about black people in America? Like, what about
we ain't talking about that. Oh no,
And you got to peacefully protest.
we can't. That's
Wait, what
too
happened?
extreme.
Yeah, exactly. We got peacefully protest. We got the Israelis don't have to peacefully protest. The Israelis don't have to peacefully protest. They can like drop bombs and shit. No, we have to peacefully protest as police whoop our asses. So yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally like, if we're talking about protesting in America, I'm like, what my position is on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should not be involved in American politics, period. We need to be concentrating on Liberia and getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I don't care if Trump is. Could you imagine the fact that Trump might be president again? Is hilarious to me. That's hilarious. Y'all motherfuckers voted this dude into office when he was 78. And now your response to the Republican candidate is, well, let's get the 82-year-old Biden in. So this place is a joke. And anybody involved in this American politics, if that's what you're into, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do for you. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about Biden. I don't care about Candace Owens. I don't care about Mark Lamont Hill. I don't give a shit about none of these people. Hey, what's up, Umoja?
No, but I think it's a good position. Again, regardless of Palestine, it was always a good position to back. I remember years ago when the Arab Spring was going on, somebody said to me that or they asked me why Africans don't rise up against these tyrants that's ruling over them and so on and so forth. And I was like, Africans have always done that. It's just that it doesn't get the kind of coverage in media that it does that the Arab Spring was getting, because they were portraying that positively, that the Arabs throughout North Africa and whatnot over in the Middle East were rising up against these brutal dictators or whatever. But whenever Africans rise up against oftentimes rulers that are installed by the US or by France and so on and so forth, they get called rebels, they get called terrorists. Just basically they delegitimize what they're trying to do because they're using violence. So
if you want to know where we need to be at, look at how the United States is treating Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. That's all I gotta say. Just look at how the United States is treating those three countries.
Yeah.
Yo, Vector, you available?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay, I thought you wanted to chime in.
I didn't want to stir the pot.
No, you good.
No, well, I was just gonna answer your question specifically, Mark. Like, what would we ask for our support? And this is personal. As you know, I worked in Jordan for a long time. I was over in that area for a long time, and what I would do if I was a Liberian politician and I wanted to present the same problem that I see both in Israel and Palestine and Jordan and all of the other GCC countries that support Palestine, is I would specifically ask for a consulate or embassy in Israel or Palestine, whichever we supported, with protections for our workers, man. I've seen so many Africans go to all of those countries in that area and just be abused, passports taken, scammed, and just in general just treated like shit. And when you see these people, you talk to them, whether you talk to them while they're still in the country or whether you talk to them when they get back to whatever African country they come from, they all pretty much say the same thing, that, hey, they took my passport when I got there and we don't have an embassy there, so I didn't really have anybody to talk to. I was just dealing with some type of employment broker or something who's a local, and they just get screwed over. So I think one of the best things to do is to follow. We've been talking about China. Hey, follow what they're doing. You know, when the Chinese feel like they're getting screwed over in the United States, what happens? The government of China puts pressure on us. So why is it that when African workers go to these countries, there's no pressure from the African governments to help them out?
I agree 1,000% on that one.
Me too.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, we gotta think from the perspective of how can we get the most out of any interaction we involve ourselves with. What are we getting out of it? How are people being helped?
Mm-hmm.
Not is it the right thing?
Yeah,
I mean, that may be a hot take, but I really don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm saying even the brother just mentioned before how you know, the birth control, what is the birth control shot that was getting given to the Ethiopian peoples, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
A reparation is required for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you
reparations
know,
is definitely required for that.
Yeah, you know, so that's why, you know, I don't really go hard for Palestinians like that, mostly because, you know, when I was in Jordan, man, you know,
the Israelis,
the large population of Jordan are Palestinian people. And, you know, I personally got jumped by 5 Palestinian dudes who later apologized because they said, "Oh, we thought you were African. We didn't know you were American." And I was like, "Y'all really think that fucking makes it better, bro?" You know what I'm saying? But you also see shit like I said, man, you see these young ladies and they get these maid jobs and stuff, and they come over and you see these Arab grandmas, you know, abusing them and then basically teaching the racism to the grandkids through the women. You know, I don't know if any of you guys know any young African ladies who go work in any Arab country, but the main people they complain about is the women. Like, the women are the ones who are teaching the men the racism against Africans. It's really fucked up. But then
we're not even talking about the rapes that might happen over there when, like, you know, we got the passport systems that go over there. That's like, I think that's a little reported, but there's incidents of like sexual assaults probably happening a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely sexual assault.
And they got
also.
and our sisters are the most vulnerable ones.
Yeah, and to compound that, and I'm gonna go one better with that. Not only is there sexual assault by the men, but a lot of those men's wives notice the shit is happening.
Yeah,
and they don't care. You talk to some of these people that go to Saudi, man. Some of these people that go work in Saudi Arabia, and you see these Saudi guys talking about it's their right to do whatever they want to their African worker, and the women just don't. You know, the women can't complain to the Arab women, because the Arab women will be told to shut the fuck up by the Arab men. So, you know,
right. But you see what we're talking about now? We're talking about everything except the Israel-Palestine conflict, and that's where we should be.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't cape for either side because I've seen both sides act kind of shitty. But so that's why I just wanted to answer your question specifically. Like, okay, if we were to take a side, what the fuck are we gonna get out of it?
Right.
So yeah, and that's all I had to say, man.
I fully agree with that.
Thank you.
I wouldn't dream of ever going to any of them countries, but you know, for those that do, it's nice to have some protections.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Brother Ronan Black is in the house.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
What's up, man? You had some thoughts on this?
No, just you got pretty much covered everything. I just jumped in, getting pissed off watching a basketball game. So
Yeah, but what do you think about that? Like what I was saying, it's like my personal opinion is neither side is really for us. So if we're gonna jump into this drama, what are we as Liberians gonna get out of it? What is Liberia? How's Liberia gonna benefit from our involvement coming in and saying, hey, we don't support this or that and da da da, and being vocal about it in front of the international community?
to be honest, if they don't have some type of natural resources to share with in Liberia, it's just taking a moral stance. Like, what are they giving us? They're giving us what? Grain, oil, minerals, something like that. You just want to look at it as being from a humanitarian sense. All right, I stand with the people of Palestine, but they're not offering anything. You just stand up on the podium just saying that they got to give something in return. One of the brothers said something earlier. The younger brother says a millennial, and I apologize, brother, if I forgot your name. Which me and you, how we talked about this a myriad of times, that Black folks do not think from a standpoint of winning, controlling the chessboard. They don't. They never do. That's why you got Negroes running around claiming that they're Native Americans and also the bullshit, because they're not interested in winning. They're not interested in being strong. They're not interested in the self-interest of our people. Period. They can sit here and be the moral voice for everyone on the planet. It is not Black people's job to play the role of peacemaker for the entire planet. It's not. You can't do that when your own house is not in order. China can do what it does because their house is in order.
But you got to break that. You got to break that here in the United States, because in the United States, Black people think they're the moral compass of the fucking United States.
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct. And that's because one of the things that's not addressed with Black folks is just the severe mental damage caused by European expansion, and also, as was pointed out, by what the Arabs did, their expansion into Africa.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, you can go even more recent than that. You can just say, why is it that we got our first Black first lady, Michelle Obama, can get up in there and say, well, when they go low, we go high. Fuck that.
Yeah,
if they go low, we gonna get in the fucking mud with them.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Everything you're just saying is right.
Straight to hell.
Exactly. You can't sit here. You're absolutely correct. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. It's like you can't. These politicians, only namesake, Black politicians and namesake in quotations, you can't listen to these people. These people are clowns. They'll never go against the ruling class, because then that disrupts their self-interest. They're only worried about their self-interest. The whole, if you, on my job, I'm always out in the field. I always running Democratic posters at this time of year, and they'll ask me questions like, how do you sit here and talk to me about this issue, that issue, but you're not addressing any of the issues right here within your own community? You can't tell me that you don't know. I said, I don't even live in this damn city, but I know what the hell's going on within the Black community. You're trying to tell me these politicians don't know that, but they know everything that's going on across the globe? That's bullshit. You just don't care. The person that you're campaigning for, they don't care. So you're trying to tell me that what's going on over there is more important than what's happening here, what's happening on the continent. And they got nothing to say. It's always the backtrack but you got to look at it from the standpoint. No, I'm not looking at it from the standpoint. I'm looking at it from this standpoint. Yes, the Palestine, they have an issue, which 100% went, but so do Black folks. Their issue does not come before the issues of the African diaspora, period. That's why I know with these Black politicians, you can't listen to them because they're full of shit. They're only worried about themselves. They ain't worried about the whole. That's what led me here to the BAIO. Listen to these individuals being part of these bullshit groups, the NAACP or these other groups, these multicultural coalitions. They're not concerned about the primary thing. Black folks, it's always this or that and stuff like that. That go low, that bullshit. I told the story that I was in a group years ago, and the Klan was coming to North New Jersey to march. And these people, the group was like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna protest peacefully. They engage you, you can't hit back. And I said, that's not happening. I was like, first of all, the minute they step in the North, they should get it. Period. They should get it. If they want to come in here, they're gonna suffer the consequences. They're gonna get it. Well, that's not how we roll. Yeah, that's how you roll, but I roll completely different. They're coming here, they can come in, but they ain't leaving. I'll rally the whole damn city if I have to stomp them into non-existence. You can't have it both ways. Because if you come in their city, you know what they're going to do to you? They're going to stomp you into the ground.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the sad thing, the thing, if someone's a troll in the chat room and saying, well, oh, look, I'm not being violent, I'm being realistic. You can't get into a boxing ring and not throw any punches because you're going to get knocked out.
Apparently, they never saw any Godfather films because there's negotiations until things get violent, and then they bring in the wartime concierge. Yeah. Oh, we gonna fight? All right, we got to change leadership now. Everybody else gets it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm just me personally. I'm not fooling with the country that destroyed our country and has not made any sort of repair. Not doing it.
Yeah, I think we probably knew from the giddy up we wasn't gonna be on that side.
Yeah, we just want to give the pros and cons and all the perspectives.
Yeah. I would have been willing to let numbnuts get on, but he's, you talk about people mama and using the N-word. Who the fuck you think you talking to, nigga?
Wait, who?
The dude, whoever that clown was that we banned.
Yeah. He was coming on there, so I told his bitch ass to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He said
I actually wanted to hear what he was. Well, I actually wanted to hear
his first word.
I actually want him.
Listen,
I actually wanted him.
No. I'm not with that shit, man. His first word were, "I'm Israeli." Fuck that nigga.
Hold up, ask for the Israel perspective. So I mean, we should get it.
Bitch ass nigga.
He represented Israel accurately.
Yeah, fuck him. And we represent BAIO accurately. Fuck his bitch ass.
They don't get a seat. They ain't
bitch ass niggas, man.
And to understand, just briefly, I just want to say briefly, at what point in my monologue did I say that I support the Hamas? Because they don't want me to say that word. Just apparently saying that. When did I say that? Yes. When did I say that? When did I say that I supported them?
You don't have to.
Well, if you support Palestine, you're basically saying you support them. That every person that I've seen in the debate, they brought up Hamas. Oh, you're pro Hamas?
Even if you don't support the Palestinians.
Even if you don't say it, like, yep.
Yeah. If you're not showing that you're rolling 100, 10 toes deep for Israel, you not only support Hamas, you are Hamas.
Yeah, I hope they come across me.
Well, that's the stance of Israel, though, right? That's how they're.
Yeah.
That's how they're saying they can hit everybody because everybody in Palestine is Hamas. That's what they're saying. So that's the narrative.
Man,
hey, yo, what we cooking up?
Whoever's cooking, could you put my cheese on my burger, please?
You know what I'm saying? I didn't get.
I just finished eating.
Yo, all right. Background noise is that. Put yourself.
My bad.
I just wanted cheese on my burger. That's all.
That's all. There you go.
No pickles.
He was just sounding like a short order cook over there.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I'm like, what's going on? Like dishes flying everywhere.
Who's that? Hanzo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. He over there cooking up that Waffle House. I need them smothered, chopped, and topped, and all that.
Yeah, I think we there's a lot of interesting perspectives, and we really hit the point home from different
Yeah,
angles. One more pro than others, but we're all hitting the point of just you got to have a benefit, you have to have an agenda, and then you can make decisions. But when you have, and that's the important thing of why we're trying to build up power, or what they say, build up leverage or economic, because once you build up that leverage, you can get people to do what you want.
yeah, that's what this game is all about. It ain't about doing the right thing. It has nothing to do with that on a political level, especially international politics. Nobody gives a
Oh yeah.
shit about that.
Hmm.
Look at all the
It's about what you're
tragic shit
incentivized.
that's going on in Africa, and nobody gives a fuck about it.
I mean,
That's
you got
what
this,
you said how with the
even
right
I
and
mean
wrong.
even in African politics, holla, with the situation going on in Sudan, somebody can say you're immoral for saying I support the Sudanese forces instead of the RSF. You're immoral if you support the Ethiopian government over Tigray.
Hmm.
It's honestly, it's an interesting. Where do you stand? What is your end game and what is your goal?
Yeah, some
You're gonna make
infrastructure
one side.
project, some, some infrastructure projects would be acceptable. I'll accept that.
Yep.
Like Ronan was saying, some resources. I'll accept that. Something. Do you support
Yeah,
Liberia
something
getting
off.
reparations?
Like,
Will you
like one
support
thing you
that
said,
over
holla
the?
before,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
like about right or wrong. Like someone asked me before about that. I was like, right or wrong is subjective. It depends what your mind state is. And someone asked me like, well, what do you mean by that? I was like, if you got somebody who's out there selling drugs, they can't get a job. They tried everything they could. They can't get a job. They start selling drugs, running guns, stuff like that. In their perspective, they're doing the right thing. They're making money to support themselves, their family, whatever. Now you know what the consequences are, so it's all subjective. Right or wrong, it depends on where you stand, what your morality is. Some people have it, some people don't. And even morality is questionable. The United States is the biggest moral fraud that is walking the face of this planet. Their morality is false. Everything they talk about, we're doing the right thing. But expansionism, military base all over the goddamn globe, that's right. Seems wrong to me. That's a power grab. That's what a court. That's what a criminal organization would do.
And all black leaders
Someone with a
remind.
question. Yeah, if we someone could say that, well, how your stance is too abrasive, like this and that. No, you're being honest. You're like, look, what are you giving me in return? I
Yeah.
just
So you
can't blindly support you unless I get at least something. I need something, a show of good faith.
And yo, Ronan, I always said this. It's like our leadership is like that dude that comes home to his wife and say, yo, honey, I really would want to help you out, but my girlfriend is really going through it. That's black leadership. Always looking out for everybody except their family. Like you're looking out for every stranger in the street, but you can't take care of your own fucking family.
Yep.
Hey, you guys mind if I respond to a comment in the chat?
Sure.
There's a guy. He's probably a troll because his tag says Richard. Oh, Richard Dixon. I thought it said Richard Nixon. Richard Dixon says Arab countries are some of the wealthiest on the planet. How would the continent put pressure on them? It's very simple, man. It's psychological pressure if you tell them, yo, we're not sending nobody else over there to work for y'all. You know, if any of y'all cats ever been to Arab countries, them motherfuckers don't like to do their own manual labor. It's all
Yeah.
kind of Filipinos and Thais and Africans and
Indian.
Pakistanis and all of the motherfuckers over there doing their housework, building their roads, doing their construction, cooking, cleaning, and whatever else. If you just say, "Hey, rich motherfuckers, how rich are you?" If you actually got to do your own work, because a
Oh,
lot of them, even here in the United States, right? Wealth is expressed by what you can pay for and how you can get other people to do shit for you. Whether it's I'm gonna pay for valet parking because I got money, or I'm gonna, have a maid or have an au pair because my wife didn't have to take care of the kids. This is what I'm talking about. So a lot of people can say they rich as you can be as rich as you want to be, but if your wife got to fucking scrub the toilets, then how rich is your wife in comparison to somebody else who has to scrub their toilets? So that's what I'm saying, man. All of this labor, because that's when we go historically all the way back. What has Africa been used for, right? Resources. But what is the number one resource out of Africa? It's labor, bro. Us as Black Americans, our labor was the resource that changed the whole fucking world.
For the record, Richard Dixon is not a troll.
Yeah,
He's a
not a troll.
Okay.
He's been rocking with us for a minute.
Yeah,
Okay,
I haven't
okay,
seen him in a
okay.
while, but he's good.
No. My eyes were playing tricks on me. I thought it said Richard Nixon. I was like, oh shit, this is a troll. Yeah. My bad, Richard.
Nah, he's been rocking with us. He's been with us for a while.
What's up,
What's up,
Salim?
Richard? We seen you in a while, man. Sister Slim, what's up?
Hey, my brothers, how are y'all?
Howdy. Did you catch the majority of it, or you just coming in?
I'm literally just coming in. I'm getting ready for this event, so I'm just
okay.
just
Well,
popping
make sure
in.
you when they archive, check it out, because I think this was a really good show.
Absolutely.
Because at the end, we all basically, instead of talking about Israel, Palestine, the conversation was about what we want and what we need. Everybody had their own perspective on what that was.
Bravo.
Which, we can talk about that all day long. But my thing is, at least the mindset is right.
Right.
That it ain't about them, it's about us. So if you want us to get involved in anything, we got to get something out of it. And how our level of involvement will depend on what we get out of it.
Y'all know what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna keep saying it. We pay attention to it because it's happening in the world, but it don't mean anything to us, because like you said, if we're not getting nothing out of it, we will never. We are stopping worrying about what everybody else is doing. That is done, dead. And if it doesn't benefit our agenda or what we're focused on, it don't mean nothing to us.
Yep.
That's just how that is. That's just how that is. And going forward, that's got to be our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely has to be.
Yep, I agree 1000%, sis. Oh, Abdul Sharif, we don't fuck with Kala.
Oh, hell no.
And if you want to know why, just go to our channel. There's a video right there. You'll get to see it. We don't do that. We don't fuck with that dude. He is
we don't
not
mess with dudes that
AIO.
wear hair helmets. Nope. He wears a hair helmet, so we don't rock with that dude.
I don't even watch 227 because of him. I barely can look at Spider-Man anymore.
Black J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, Deontay's there? I didn't even see him. Yo, Deontay, did you want to add something before we go out? Because I think we pretty much exhausted this topic.
No, because unfortunately, I just got in here about 20 minutes ago. I knew you guys were starting the stream, but I had some commotion going on in the background, and so yeah. So I do apologize. I had to make a run anyway. So
cool. Anybody else have any last words? Oh, Salima got knocked off, I think.
God,
I'm back.
Stop shooting fucking 3-pointers.
Okay, somebody watching the game.
Oh, I can't stand it, yo. Just take 2. Everyone's shooting goddamn 3s. Fuck. Thank you, motherfucker.
WNBA?
No.
Stop it
Tournament.
right now. Stop it right this minute.
Watching the tournament, yo.
For the scholars in the BAIO, we will have the book club tonight at 7 p.m. If we're having, I'm going to let y'all know right now, if we're having a 3 o'clock meeting, I ain't making it. I'm going to sleep. I'll be up at the 7 o'clock, but I ain't making that 3 o'clock. You heard me, Jabari? So just let everybody know.
Say what?
I'm surprised I was able to get on today.
Yeah, because they usually have like the Sunday board meeting at 3 p.m. I'm not making that.
Yeah, I got a house full of kids. They're outside right now.
But yeah,
Every
man, I'm
kid
really
underneath
happy
is at
we
my
did this.
goddamn house.
I'm glad Jabari agreed with me to do it because I think it needed to be done because I was just seeing too much of this Israel Palestine stuff popping up on my timeline and everybody giving their opinions and stuff like that. We need to know how to think like nationalists.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Stop being so emotional with shit and thinking pragmatically. Being stoic. Oh, Jabari got knocked off.
So just to put some type of
I
context to
got
that.
knocked off, folks. I'm sorry. But been effing up this whole live stream. The white
What were you
man.
saying, Salima?
I said just to put context to that. So I have a family member who her spouse lives in Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And she was over there and she ended up stuck in Jordan for like a month because once the war really started ramping up, they closed
Oh,
down
wait a
all
minute. Who is
airspace.
that?
Huh?
Who was that?
My niece.
What's her name?
Amira.
Amira. I know Amira.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I
she is
remember that.
stuck in Jordan because they've shut down all the airspace. And even though you can see Israel from Jordan, like you can look over and see that. She said at some points you could vaguely see the missiles and things of that nature, but it wasn't in Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But because they are that close in proximity, they shut down all airspace.
Wow.
And
What?
they
When was
are
this?
still, huh?
When was this?
As when the when the war really started between Israel and when Israel started bombing Palestine.
Okay.
So they went on vacation. They went to the beach. They went all these places because she's now stuck there. She can't come home.
How long
But
has she
they
been
are.
there?
I'm sorry.
How long has she been there?
She was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I think she was there for a month and a half.
Wow.
Right. The plane ticket was like, and just for her to get home one way was like this astronomical amount. But I say all this to say that the people in Jordan still live their lives. They are that close to that country, to that war, that they could see it. But they are not so involved in it that they stopped any of their day-to-day activity. These people still went on vacation. They still got up and went to work. They still did everything that they needed to do to live their lives. But of course, because it's so close, they're paying attention to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we're going to pay attention to what's going on around the world. But is it so important that we stop what we're doing to focus on somebody else's issue?
No, it is not.
Absolutely not. So
Well, they
we have to stop getting caught up in everybody else's BS. What any other group of people are doing that don't align with what we're doing, we'll pay attention to it because what goes on in the world at some point could and would have some type of impact on what we're trying to do, whether it be large or small. And any person that is trying to do something on this scale who doesn't pay attention to the world around them is a fool. So we're going to pay attention to it, but we're not going to be so consumed in it that it takes away from what we need to do to get where we need to be. So I say all that to say in real time that she was stuck in a situation where she couldn't leave only because, it was so close in proximity. She comes home, and the first thing that this woman says to us is, yeah, we're looking at tickets so I can go back. She's there now. So they did not stop their life. They pay attention to it because of where they are geographically, but they're still living their lives. She's back there. You know, and as concerned as we are for her, you know, flying over there and staying for these long stretches of time, it doesn't matter to her because she's been there. She knows that they walk around like nothing's going on. So for us to be so focused on what this group is doing and that group is doing and this group is showing our immaturity. It's showing our ignorance to what the world actually is. You see it, you make note of it, and you move on to what is important to you.
Yep.
That's all.
Your own self-interest. But I want to give a thank you to I want to give a thank you to Vector, Deontay, Ronan, Mike, Salima. Thank you for all showing up.
I had a comment on that one, but maybe we'll hit that in the Discord later.
Yeah, I'll be in the Discord later.
And thank you to everybody. And just a reminder, make sure you donate to the BAIO Liberian Legacy Foundation, the Liberian Leadership Academy. We have the link that's visible. Just use that link and you will be able to donate and make what we're doing possible and spread to Liberian youth.
Yeah, let me put the link in the chat in case nobody, because I get crazy people on Facebook like, yo, can you let me know what group deals with Liberia? I'm like, what the fuck, man? What is wrong with you fucking people? Like I got the link in Liberia all over my damn profile, and yeah, people act like they don't know what I'm talking about.
Because they're eating lead paint chips.
Something.
Stop it right now. Stop it this minute. not the lead paint chips. I'm not doing this with y'all today.
Oh, do y'all have a group that deals with infrastructure that I can join?
No, you mean the BAIO? Like
that's
no
literally
way
the
people
type of
are
dumb
asking
shit
you
I
these
be getting.
questions. Those are the people that you just. I'm serious. Block them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, no, and I'm being real serious because it's at the point now where if you don't see what we're doing and you don't, or you're asking me a question because something that either I posted or I stated made you think about that, but you didn't go any deeper. You didn't check to see what my page was about. You didn't look at any of the videos that I posted. So, I can't deal with people that want to be spoon-fed stuff.
Yeah.
Especially adult people that
I don't even
you are.
spoon-fed babies.
I mean, my nieces and nephews from the various ages that they are, understand what we are doing, what we're talking about. So the fact that grown adult people on the internet that have access to Donald Trump's internet and they want to run around here and act like they are so stupid. Yeah, I see somebody said James Earl Jones internet earlier, and I was like, that is hilarious. But they, y'all want to run around and pretend and scream and black people, but you are not even trying to scratch the surface of this vast information that we have, whichever way you go. To ask something, you didn't even say, what does BAIO mean? Like, I could understand if you even said that, because then I'd be like, okay, this is what it means. And I can give you some information because that would indicate you don't have any idea what we are about, but the fact that you are actually coming and saying, do you know anybody who knows something about infrastructure? That means you know exactly what we do. Or what we're trying to do.
Remember that one time I lost it on a live because a dude asked me, how can I sign up to the BAIO?
Yes.
And I almost lost my mind. Like, what?
Yes.
Anyway, y'all, I'm going to bed. I'll let y'all later.
Throw that
It's been real.
All right. Peace.
Love y'all.
Peace, everybody.